Hey guys, how are ya? And today we're talking about the 3 strategies in order to make some profit with Pokemon investing. This is just ways that I've uncovered over the years that I think are pretty good and some really good tips that I think that can be beneficial if you're looking at ways to go. Because when we think of investing as a whole, especially when we're doing any kind of collectibles or anything, I suppose the real basis of it is pretty much purchase for the smallest or the least price you can, and obviously sell at a profit. But I want to talk about the first one is when to buy a product. Now, over the years, I've come up with some different ways of when I think is the best time to buy a product. So the first one is what I like to call the sunrise before the set releases. So this is right when the set's about to release on pre-orders. A lot of stores kind of putting product out for cheap prices because what they're doing is they're kind of seeing the demand for the product. So, and also don't forget, it's a very competitive market. These stores are all competing with each other. So what they do, and it's a really good way, they're trying to pull you in to buy the case or buy the booster box. So this is sometimes a really good time to buy. It's not the best time out of the 3 that I'm going to mention, but it is not too bad actually. So I actually don't mind that time. You will actually get it below retail a lot of the time. And you just got to find which stores are kind of willing to sacrifice their margins in order. Sometimes they want to maybe get their brand out. Sometimes they want to just be known in the community. If they want to make a name for themselves, if you advertise a cheap product, people start figuring out, they buy. If it's reputable, you get 5 stars. So it's actually not a bad time to buy. The second time, and this is the best time when you're buying a set, is looking after and waiting for your Black Friday sales, your end of financial year sales, your Boxing Day sales. There is all these sales throughout the year. And one thing that I love to do is when those sales come, I have gotten product for so ridiculously cheap. I'm talking booster boxes, cases. Sometimes they're not even making profit. Like sometimes these sales can be so low that I doubt they're kind of not even making that much profit. But the real benefit of when you buy during that time is that you now have the opportunity to neutralize your sale cost when you buy sealed. So what I mean by that is if you buy, like I'm going to just talk in Australian because I know I'll put the US conversion on the bottom. But let's talk about Paradox Rift. If Paradox Rift in Australia, usually you can get it for, if you shop around, let's say 190 Australian, right? If during these sales that you're getting a good sale and you end up buying this for around 160 Australian, you have effectively neutralized your seller's fees when is the time when this product goes up in value. And what I mean by that is if the product one day eventually climbs, and when it does, or if it does, it's very likely, even if it doesn't have these huge, spikes in double or triple the price, even if it just went to the MRSP, you've effectively broken even after your seller fees. Although you have to be careful as well, because I've noticed that during these sales, they actually mark up the price a lot and they say, oh, this is the original price. And then they put a sale on top. You're still getting it for the sale, but it's not, sometimes they can use that to their advantage. Now, the third best time in this 3 great times to buy sealed is when a set is officially sold out on Pokemon Center. That is sometimes a really good time to go in. Now, the issue is we don't know if there's going to be a reprint. But if you do buy when the set gets sold out on the Pokemon Center, or when all these big retailers, you see that the stock is gone, you're pretty much at the quickest point for when it's going to rise. Because now it's sold out across all these stores. So now it's actually an advantageous time because you will be able to now get to the top quicker. So instead of waiting 3 years or 4 years, so if you bought Fusion Strike in 2021, you would have waited, it's now 2024, hasn't risen that much. But now the rise is going to start happening. But the only thing is you may have not gotten it for the best price either. So instead of buying it for, getting 10 or 15% below the retail, now you might be actually buying it for a little bit above. But you are at the quickest point when it's going to rise. So there are the 3 best times to buy sealed, or the 3 great times I've found to buy sealed. And knowing when to buy, I think, is super important. The second strategy I want to talk about is knowing yourself as a person. Now, I know this sounds like, wait, what are you talking about? What I mean by that is know yourself. Know your barriers. For example, I saw a post the other day regarding a person who bought a stack of 151 ETBs. Now, one person commented it and said, geez, with all these 151 ETBs you bought, you probably could have bought an Evolving Skies booster box. And the guy said, no, I'd prefer having my 151 ETBs. Now, this is very interesting because both are not wrong. So one person that bought, whatever it was, the amount of 151 ETBs he bought, and the other person says, geez, you could have got Evolving Skies. They're just coming from two different paradigms of thought because they know each other different. For example, the 151 ETB, once that does rise, or if it does, or when it does, they will also they could make a profit. Same with the Evolving Skies. The difference is, it's not like Evolving Skies has just stopped rising. The difference is the paradigm of thought. One person has to sell multiple items. The other person has to just sell one star item. So it's about knowing yourself. Like for me, sometimes dealing with eBay and selling can be a bit of it's cumbersome. I run my own business. I've got a family. I've got a daughter. I've got so many things on my mind. I'm now trying to run a YouTube channel, right? So all these things that they demand time from myself. So if I've got, if I bought at a great price 100 packs of 3-pack blisters of Crown Zenith, well, I'm going to have to now go to the post office 100 times if they just buy one each. I'm going to have to post them. This is sometime in the future. I'm going to have to post them. I'm going to have to write those posting scripts. I'm going to have to make sure that, there's also like a bit of a opportunity cost as well, because I'll be taking time away from myself or my other goals to make sure that I can post all this product. So that's really important to know. It's really just about knowing yourself and knowing if you don't mind the big sales, and if you don't mind that, that's cool. And that is probably a lot of people are there. That's fine. If you're fine, you don't mind eBay, you don't mind building a feedback score, you're cool with that, go for it. But if you'd like just having one product, geez, if something happens, you need to sell, bam, you put on a big booster box like Cosmic Eclipse or Evolving Skies and you get the money. That's also great too, because it's one sale, one address, one time to the post office, whatever it is. So that is also a really important part of the selling process in terms of making a profit, just knowing yourself as a person, because if there's too many barriers for you selling, well, you're not going to ever see your profits. They're just going to be sitting in a cupboard, and you could argue, oh yeah, the longer they sit in the cupboard, or the longer they're waiting for, the longer you're holding onto these items, they might rise, but that's not guaranteed. You really do want to have a strategy in place where you actually do eventually see some of these sales. The third point is knowing when big events occur in Pokemon and using that to your advantage. So when we look at this, tracking Pokemon collecting as a whole, I want to actually talk about this and go into some data with Pokemon collecting. So I'm on Google Trends here, right? And here you can see that the search term I've used is Pokemon cards. Now just check it out. This is drawing from data from 2004 all the way to the current. So you can see Pokemon cards, just this search term in Google. Now this is for worldwide. You can see it's had a bit of it was always at some sort of normal place before this. And then there was a massive boom in 2016. And you can see that this is when Pokemon Go released. So this was a big event in Pokemon. Bam, it released, and you can see went sky high. So now the interest for Pokemon cards has gone tremendously up during Pokemon Go. Then it kind of tampered off, and it went down, 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 and it went back to its normal baseline level. From here, as you can see, it's pretty much matching what it was before Pokemon Go. But then you can see it did this huge spike during the COVID boom. Now, when people say, oh, the COVID boom, they're not joking. The COVID boom, if you look at from where we were, look at just that, 2019, what's that? April 2020, right? So COVID just begun. Check out that boom by January 2021. It effectively, like from looking at that's on 25 points, it effectively 4x'd. 4 times more interest, 4 times more demand. So that's why when people go, oh wow, all these products, yeah. No man, like the demand became 4 times more. It became huge. You can really see it here. And then it kind of tampered off a little bit in September, and then it went back up again in December 2022. So, and now it's kind of going down. And this thing is cyclical. It's gonna go down, it's gonna go up, it's gonna go down, it's gonna go up. But the big takeaway from this and for your investments and everything is knowing when these big events occur. So if you know, one of the big ones that I think a lot of people are anticipating is the 30th anniversary. So, people are waiting for that. Oh, is that going to be a good time to sell? 50th anniversary as well. These are good times in the kind of market. Is Pokemon going to release a new game that becomes groundbreaking like Pokemon Go and interest is that big? I mean, I remember with Pokemon Go, I was in Australia. In Australia, they had to actually get council to come in to stop people from congregating in one spot because everyone was trying to catch this Kangaskhan in this certain part of Australia. or something like that. I can't remember the exact details of it, but what I'm saying is there's going to be another Pokemon Go. Trust me, this brand's huge. I talk about this in my videos. I talk about what Pokemon does. They've got smart minds trying to keep building the brand. They're looking for their next Pokemon Go. They're looking for their next Pokemon Sword and Shield and how it just got all the market back in. They are constantly looking for that. So you as a person that if you're investing in this, you need to be aware of this. You need to be aware of what Pokemon's doing. If another Pokemon Go or if there's a new smartphone or some VR, something comes out with Pokemon that they do and it also breaks the stratosphere. It becomes popular and it's world popular, just like how trading cards do. You need to use that to your advantage. You need to be following the market. You need to be following the data, and that is when it would be the most ideal time to liquidate. So that is not, now in terms of timing the markets and stuff, it's not so much timing it perfectly, but what you're just doing is just looking at when interest is more for a particular brand. So that is another strategy of when going at it. Guys, they're really my 3 best kind of tips and strategies. If you really enjoyed the video, it would really mean a great deal to subscribe so I can keep making the content. And guys, check out the channel and I will see you on the channel.